Hi, I'm Audrey Ramirez Ludenbeck. I started in an interpreting program at a university. I wanted to follow the interpreting work. I thought it was important. And I found the topic about values. And it kept on showing up. And I thought it was important to support the values. Keep that in the back of your mind, and then you're responsible for thinking about it when you need it, about values. As interpreters and interpreter students, values, it means there's a list of values and how you decide which one's most important on that list, and so on. Mine has 3 parts. PVQ, about 50 questions. It's all about values. The second part, it's democratic questions and just general questions, asking any people, interpreters, and what the reason for having one was. Altogether about 258 questions. It's interesting because something that's it connects in general with the third part. How you reply, how you express the values. But that doesn't match the PVQ. There was many people who responded to the interpreter values question, saying they fell in love with the interpreting. But it doesn't really match the PVQ values. So I thought that was interesting to give you a question for all of you about what the reason was that we valued interpreting, and then how that connects to our values and our perspective of the work. So that's a question to talk about. There's many things I found, discussions about value with work and picking your profession, and the career, and letting it guide you from then on. I thought it was important. I had to think about for myself. Becoming an interpreter, those values, how does that match the work world? Interpreting for us and interpreting students, it's new. They have to evaluate themselves and find their values and how to express them. It's their decision to follow that interpreting, or maybe find it later, or who matches it. Finding your inner value is part of looking at yourself. There was 10 interesting things that I noticed. And there's a small group of people that only identify as white. I know a lot of professionals are often white. About 89% responded saying themselves are white. But there is a small group who identify as another. And notice another thing, there's two groups. First, they identify themselves as Latino, Hispanic, and another group identified themselves as Asian, or Asian Americans, or no, African or African America. They respect the rules, they follow their rules. And if they get behind, it just messes up that little group. And they enjoy socializing with each other. The larger group, about 258, they have shared that for their values, that is the 5th thing on their value list. But those other two small groups, they put at the top of their value list, as opposed to the larger group. So it's interesting how that's different, how that can lead to an interesting discussion. The value system for most people maybe it became a barrier for the others who cherish their value system, who take it more seriously. And it depends on their background. You gotta respect the different value systems of the different people. So whenever I work, I take into consideration the people's backgrounds and ethnics, or if it can conflict. You have to look at their perspective of their values. And if you have a conflict within yourself, how would you deal with that? Of which values to pick now? Like if there's a conflict with that team, with that group of people who put their values at the top, but my value is maybe 4th or 5th, how do I match with that? There is an inner conflict. So when I reflect on ethnics, I include value as well in the discussion. If we encourage new interpreters, if we encourage new interpreters and interpreters that are already to start thinking about and evaluating themselves about their value systems, it would be a positive for them for the rest of their working as an interpreter. It would benefit all of us to understand who we are and how we're going to express our values. And how we deal with the different ethnics. And we do let values influence our work every day. So the discussion questions. The first one would be to analyze yourself and what you value as an interpreter. The second one would be the response for the first question. Notice how you responded. The third one, which value is at the top and how it affects yourself while working every day. Fourth, look back at a time when you felt that a team member or employee was not behaving right with their ethics or unethically. And their values, their most important value, how does that conflict with your most important value?